Good morning, guys. So it is the 19th. Andrew left for his water test. We prayed last night. They did class last night during work. So I'm really just praying God helps him through that and he ends up passing. I really believe in him and I really believe he will. He knows it really well. It's all just kind of about how the test questions are, because all of them are going to be based around it, but there can be really weird ones they throw them, like really weird applications of it sometimes. So hopefully that goes really good. In the meantime, I am going to a one-day women's conference with Calvary Chapel, our church, and I'm so excited. I've never been to a women's conference, and it's perfect because he's going to be doing that. It is 6:30 in the morning, and I'm going to get breakfast at Starbucks. So let's go.
Desiring a deeper relationship with him. And that's what you will hear today from Linda and from Julie. They'll share our loving Heavenly Father and his love for you. And hopefully by the end of the day, we will be responding to him in a greater way.
And I'm just excited to be here. Whoops.
You're hooked on me.
I'm hooked on her. Yeah. But we really kind of are hooked together at the hip. And Julie's the age of my children, so she just kind of lets me travel around with her, and she takes care of me and makes sure I get to the right place.
It's a good deal because she calls me young. So
yeah.
It's just, I'm a young woman in her eyes. So
you know, it depends on where you're looking from, honey.
Yeah. Each other in relationships, intimacy perhaps in marriage, and most importantly, keeps us from intimacy with God. You know, one of the things that I love about Calvary Chapels, this doesn't happen in every Calvary Chapel, but in smaller ones, sometimes pastors make house calls. Have you ever had a pastor make a house call? Like just unannounced, show up at your door and check on how you're doing? That's a little intimidating, isn't it? Well, I heard a story about one pastor who was making house calls, and he drove up to a member of his congregation's house, and he walked to the front door, and he rang the doorbell, and nobody answered, and he was persistent. So he knocked on the door, kind of pounded on it, and nobody answered. And he was like, well, that's kind of strange because their car's in the driveway. And he even walked over to the car and he put his hand on the hood of the car and it was still warm, and he's like, they're here. You know, why aren't they answering the door? So he thought he would be kind of clever, so he took out his business card and he wrote on the business card, Revelations 3:20. Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with him and him with me. And so he left that on the car dashboard and thought he was being kind of clever. Well, the next Sunday he got up and got behind the pulpit, and when he was getting ready to preach, he saw his business card, and right next to Revelations 3:20 was the reference Genesis 3:10. So he looks up Genesis 3:10 and it says, I heard you in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked. Well, that will keep him from making house calls anymore, right? Well, Genesis 3:10, we see where this game that keeps us from intimacy actually began. In the very beginning of humanity, Adam and Eve, they had fellowship with God, they had intimacy with God, they had intimacy with one another. And then in the fall, as a result of the fall, as a result of sin, in Genesis 3, we read that Adam and Eve, when they heard the voice of the Lord in the garden, they were afraid and they hid from God. They began hiding. And ever since then, ladies, we have been hiding. We know from the time we're little kids that it's not okay just to be the way we are. We've got to fix some things about us. We've got to hide some things about us.
So I am back at our church at our car now. It's 6:08. I was literally gone all day, but it was so amazing. I can't even explain how much I needed all that I heard today. God showed up so clearly and so amazingly, and I needed it. I'm now going to head home. It is officially 3 days till we've been married 1 year. I'm so excited. We have really fun plans on Sunday. He takes his water test Saturday, and I'm going to a one-day women's conference with our church, which I've been dying to go to something like that because we haven't had